And the day will come when AI will do all the things that we can do. Not just some of them, but all of them. Anything which I can learn, anything which any one of you can learn, the AI could do as well. How do we know this, by the way? How can I be so sure? The reason is that all of us have a brain, and the brain is a biological computer. That's why. So why can't a digital computer, a digital brain, do the same things? And so you can start asking yourselves, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when computers can do all of our jobs, right? Those are really big questions. Those are dramatic questions. So what will we, the collective we, want to use these AIs for? Do more work, grow the economy, do R&D, do AI research, so then the rate of progress will become really extremely fast? These are such extreme things. These are such unimaginable things. And it's very difficult to internalize and to really believe on an emotional level. Even I struggle with it. And yet, the logic seems to dictate that this very likely should happen.
That is Ilya Sutskever, the co-founder of OpenAI and one of the most important figures in the history of artificial intelligence, speaking at the University of Toronto. And he is not done. Here is the full warning he gave to that room.
The reason it's not going to be the most conventional convocation speech is because there is something a little different going on. Right now, we all live in the most unusual time ever. And this is something that people might say often, but I think it's actually true this time. And the reason it's true this time is because of AI. The AI of today has already changed what it means to be a student by a pretty considerable degree. But of course, the impact of AI goes beyond that. What happens to the kind of work we do? Well, it's starting to change a little bit in some unknown and unpredictable ways. With today's AI, you can go on Twitter and you can look at what AI can do and what people say. And you might feel a little bit of that. You wonder, hey, which skills are useful, which ones will be less useful. And so you can say that the current level of challenge is how will it affect work and our careers. But the real challenge with AI is that it's really unprecedented and really extreme. And it's going to be very different in the future compared to the way it is today. Like, we've all seen AI, we've all spoken to a computer, and a computer has spoken back to us, which is a new thing. It's pretty crazy. But there are so many things it cannot do as well, and it's so deficient. But it's evocative. It's good enough that you can ask yourself, you could imagine, okay, fine. In some number of years, some people say it's in 3, some people say it's in 5, 10, but slowly but surely, or maybe not so slowly, AI will keep getting better. And the day will come when AI will do all the things that we can do. Not just some of them, but all of them. Anything which I can learn, anything which any one of you can learn, the AI could do as well. How do we know this, by the way? How can I be so sure? The reason is that all of us have a brain, and the brain is a biological computer. So why can't a digital computer, a digital brain, do the same things? This is the one-sentence summary for why AI will be able to do all those things. Because we have a brain, and the brain is a biological computer. And so you can start asking yourselves, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when computers can do all of our jobs, right? Those are really big questions. Those are dramatic questions. And right now, you start thinking about it a little bit, you go, gosh, that's a little intense. But it's actually only part of the intensity. What will we, the collective we, want to use these AIs for? Do more work, grow the economy, do R&D, do AI research, so then the rate of progress will become really extremely fast, for some time at least. These are such extreme things. These are such unimaginable things. So right now I'm trying to pull you into that a little bit, into this headspace of this really extreme and radical future that AI creates. But it's also very difficult to imagine. It's very, very difficult to imagine. It's very difficult to internalize and to really believe on an emotional level. Even I struggle with it. And yet the logic seems to dictate that this very likely should happen.
So there is Ilya Sutskever, the man who co-founded OpenAI and helped build the technology that started this entire revolution, telling a room full of graduates that even he struggles to believe what is coming. And his argument is disarmingly simple. Your brain is a biological computer. There is no law of physics that says a digital computer cannot do everything a biological one can. The only question is when, not if. And once AI can do everything we can do, we will use it to do AI research, which means the rate of progress goes from fast to completely uncontrollable. But Sutskever does not stop there. He then makes what might be the most important statement of the entire speech. Now listen to this.
So, what does one do in such a world? You know, there is a quote which goes like this. It says, you may not take interest in politics, but politics will take interest in you. So the same applies to AI many times over. And in particular, I think that by simply using AI and looking at what the best AI of today can do, you get an intuition. You get an intuition. And as AI continues to improve in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years, the intuition will become stronger. And a lot of the things that we are talking about now, they will become much more real. They'll become less imaginary. In the end of the day, no amount of essays and explanations can compete with what we see with our own senses, with our own 2 eyes. And especially with AI, the very smart, super intelligent AI of the future, there will be very profound issues about making sure that they say what they say and not pretend to be something else. But overall, by simply looking at what AI can do, not ignoring it, when the time comes, that will generate the energy that's required to overcome the huge challenge that AI will pose. And the challenge that AI poses, in some sense, is the greatest challenge of humanity ever. And overcoming it will also bring the greatest reward. And in some sense, whether you like it or not, your life is going to be affected by AI to a great extent. And so looking at it, paying attention, and then generating the energy to solve the problems that will come up, that's going to be the main thing.
So there is Sutskever calling AI the greatest challenge of humanity ever, not one of the greatest, the greatest. And the warning underneath is clear. Whether you choose to pay attention to AI or not, AI is going to pay attention to you, your career, your industry, your daily life. None of it is going to be untouched by what is coming. And the people who ignore it will not be rewarded for their patience. They will be blindsided. Now, to understand just how fast this is actually moving and to put specific timelines on what Sutskever is describing, you need to hear what Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, just laid out in a recent talk, because the numbers he gives are not vague, they are terrifyingly specific. Now listen to this.
So we believe as an industry that in the next 1 year, the vast majority of programmers will be replaced by AI programmers. We also believe that within 1 year, you will have graduate level mathematicians that are at the tippy top of graduate math programs. There's lots of reasons to think this is going to happen. This is the consensus. Now, I can't do that kind of math. Very few people can do that math. How can the computer do that math better than anybody else? To some degree, it's because math has a simpler language than human language. So the way these algorithms actually work is they're doing essentially word prediction. So you take a sentence, you take a word out, and then it learns how to put the correct word back in. This is called the loss function. And it's optimized to do that at a scale that's unimaginable to us as humans. So strangely, the first question I always ask programmers is, what language do you program in? And the correct answer is it doesn't matter. Because you're trying to design for an outcome, you don't care what code is generated by the computer. This is a whole new world, okay? So that's 1 year, okay? What happens in 2 years? Well, I've just told you about reasoning, and I've told you about programming, and I've told you about math. Programming plus math are the basis of sort of our whole digital world. So the evidence and the claims from the research groups in OpenAI and Anthropic and so forth is that they're now somewhere around 10 or 20% of the code that they're developing in their research programs is being generated by the computer. That's called recursive self-improvement, is the technical term. So what happens when this thing starts to scale? Well, a lot. One way to say this is that within 3 to 5 years, we'll have what is called general intelligence, AGI, which can be defined as a system that is as smart as the smartest mathematician, physicist, or artist, writer, thinker, but imagine that in one computer. Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. I call this, by the way, the San Francisco consensus, because everyone who believes this is in San Francisco. It may be the water. What happens when every single one of us has the equivalent of the smartest human on every problem in our pocket? Now, I just gave you the stupidest possible explanation. I just described every business process, every government process, and every sort of academic process in our nation.
So it isn't just the programmers that are going to be out of work. We're all going to be out of work.
No, that's not a consequence. I'll come to that. But the reason I want to make the point here is that in the next year or two, this foundation is being locked in, and we're not going to stop it. It gets much more interesting after that. Because remember, the computers are now doing self-improvement. They're learning how to plan, and they don't have to listen to us anymore. We call that superintelligence, or ASI, artificial superintelligence. And this is the theory that there will be computers that are smarter than the sum of humans. The San Francisco consensus is this occurs within 6 years, just based on scaling. This path is not understood in our society. There's no language for what happens with the arrival of this. This is happening faster than our society, our democracy, our laws will address. And there's lots of implications. That's why it's underhyped. People do not understand what happens when you have intelligence at this level, which is largely free. And by the way, on the jobs thing, everyone assumes that automation will eliminate jobs. If you look at the history of automation ever since the looms and 300 years ago, the jobs are changed, but more jobs are created than destroyed. In this case, you'd have to convince me that this time is different. If you look in Asia, where they, for whatever reason, are choosing not to have children, the Asian reproduction rate is in the order of 1.0 or lower. So they're rapidly disappearing. So the Asian countries are very, very quickly automating. The tools that I'm describing will allow the few humans that will be working very hard in 30 or 40 years, if these trends continue. The rest of us will be dependent on those hardworking humans. It'll make their productivity much greater.
So there is Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, laying out a timeline that most people are not remotely prepared for. Within 1 year, the vast majority of programmers replaced. Within 2 years, AI writing its own code and improving itself. Within 3 to 5 years, AGI. A system as intelligent as the smartest human who has ever lived on any subject available in your pocket. And within 6 years, super intelligence. Systems that are smarter than the sum of all human intelligence combined. And he says this is not overhyped, it is underhyped. Because there is no language in our society for what happens when intelligence at that level becomes essentially free. Now put Schmidt's timeline next to Sutskever's warning. The man who built the foundation calls it the greatest challenge of humanity ever. The man who ran Google says our society, our democracy, and our laws are not equipped to handle what is arriving. And both of them agree on one thing. This is not something you can choose to sit out. Whether you take an interest in AI or not, AI is going to take an interest in you. If this opened your eyes, make sure you are subscribed because we are covering every development as it unfolds. And the developments are coming faster than anyone expected.